Hey everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at our Yakima EXO system with some different accessories on the 2-level carrier right here on our 2023 Kia Sorento. If you're not familiar with the EXO system, it's a pretty interesting hitch-mounted carrier. This allows you to mix and match things for a modular experience. If you want to carry all your cargo one day and then switch it up to carry bikes the next day, you can do so. So if you're curious about all those different features, weight capacities, things like that, check out my full review right here on our website of this configuration. But today, what we are focusing on is the Sorento. And most importantly, we're going to talk about weight capacity with this car, as well as clearances both for the ground and for the vehicle. For a lot of vehicles that want to use the EXO system, weight is the biggest factor. So please make sure you have enough weight capacity. So this installs into a 2-inch hitch receiver on the Sorento. We actually installed the hitch just earlier today. It's the eTrailer custom fit hitch for the Sorento with a pretty high weight capacity. The next thing you look at is the weight of the cargo as well as the weight of your EXO system. Good rule of thumb is as long as your hitch can carry at least 350 pounds, you should be good to go. If that's all good, then let's talk about clearances. First, this will take up a lot of space behind your Sorento. So I like to measure for length, and from the bumper to the end of the basket, which is pretty far out, this is going to be about 31 and a half inches of length. So something to consider if you need to park into a tight spot. The next one is going to be ground clearance. So where we're at right now, this sits 14 and a half inches off the ground, and that's going to be for the arms. No matter what type of accessory you have, that's going to be your lowest further out point. But let's compare it to where your shank sits, and that's going to be 10 and a half inches off the ground. So we have a little bit of a shank rise to give you some extra wiggle room, especially once you start loading this down. You'll notice your hitch, or at least the back of your Sorento, might start to dip as well. So try to keep an eye on that to make sure things are off the ground and you're not bottoming out whenever you go over speed bumps or into potholes. The clearances behind the EXO are pretty nice as well. So we have our top shelf, which has a little bit of a pivot here, but we still have plenty of space between the closest point of the EXO and our door of our Sorento. So 4.5 inches of space there. And coming up to the top shelf where our box is, I'm not worried at all about opening up that lid and making contact. Now your downside though is that if you do have the box on top, it is going to cover most of your rear window. It's definitely going to cover your rear view camera. So those are just things and features that you're going to lose out on. Here's another view of what your EXO system is going to cover from the back. Definitely your license plate, definitely your rear view camera, definitely a little bit of your lights. So what I would recommend is if you are going to get this system, maybe also look into getting some wiring so you can add on the tail light and license plate extension kit. So that way everything will be visible and your lights will be seen by even the cars behind you. You might have noticed that you won't be able to open up your hatch door with this attached unless you swing the EXO system away. So over by the swing base, you're going to have this very large handle. Now, depending on what type of cargo you have loaded, it may be a little tricky to get access to that handle at first, but work away at it because this will allow you to swing the whole system away once it's loose. So it's a combination of both that handle as well as the knob over in the corner. You pull that and then you push everything out. Once this is swung out, this will catch in the 90-degree position. So the first things I would look at are the edge of the door as well as the location of the cargo box. So when we open this up, you'll be able to see that It does clear our box, and we are still able to get into the back of the Sorento if we have other cargo stored inside here, maybe things you didn't want outside on your hitch. This is going to be the perfect spot to put it. Also, if you want to set up your camp around the back of your Sorento, maybe you want to tailgate and hang out, you can do so. I like our EXO system in this configuration because this gives me easy access to the box up top, and then the other cargo is underneath. Some people like to put the basket on top and the box on the bottom though, just to prevent splashes from coming up, and also they might have larger cargo that would need to be stacked up. If that's the case, you would need to pivot the top shelf over to get access to the bottom. So here's a quick look at that. If I pull that clip and I turn this bolt and I pull this pin, I'll then be able to pivot this all the way around 180 degrees. I still have clearance between the box and the vehicle, but now I have full clearance to both the box as well as the basket underneath. This is going to be a great way to really spruce up your campsite and get access to all the things for your adventures. And when you pop this right back in, just make sure that that knob is all tightened down before you hit the road again. For modularity, this utilizes some knobs and some cleats. So if you turn these over to the spinning position, this is a pin that pushes out to the lock and unlock position. And if you have your knobs unlocked, then you can just rotate them and the cleats will push back and release from whatever accessory you have. You can then lift that accessory up and out and then replace it with something else. For example, in this box, I keep our ski and snowboard carriers. These will fit right into those arms. See how everything lines up? I then tighten this down and then I push that right back in to the lock position. So you can see how just like that, if you have all the different accessories, you can really make this whole system your own for the different types of adventures. So a quick little rundown of what options you might have is if you want to carry a lot of cargo, getting the gear locker box and or the Gear Warrior basket is going to be the way to go. You can also get a bike rack on here. You can get a camp kitchen box, which works great. If you're curious about any of the other accessories that you might want to put on your EXO system, check them out here on our website. But as for the Sorento, it's really nice to see how well the Yakima EXO system fits on this vehicle. Now, I've carried just the single swing base on the smaller version of this car, which is the Kia Sorento, and that one I had to be very careful with loading up because that weight caused it to drop down a little bit, and I didn't have that much ground clearance. But here on the Sorento, we have a good amount of ground clearance where if it's just normal roads, if you're not doing extreme off-roading, you should be good to go, especially with the versatility of what type of cargo you can carry with this system, as well as with how the shape of that rear hatch door sits. You should be good with most types of bikes and most types of cargo. It is a really good fit. My recommendations here are just to figure out what accessories you want. Also figure out extra things like if you need to extend your lights or to get a license plate extension, or if you need to get extra locks so that everything matches. Those are all things you can plan for if you're decided on the Yakima EXO system. But today, what we saw was the Yakima EXO system with a gear locker enclosed cargo box, the open basket Gear Warrior on the top shelf, and swing base right here on our 2023 Kia Sorento.